How many of you have heard the phrase, be yourself, at least once? Raise hands. Okay, everyone. I have a question for you. What happens when yourself is the problem? What happens when you focus a little too much on your own boundaries and protecting them, and not nearly enough on the boundaries you are crossing? What happens when you're petty? And being petty, it means you can't let go of anything. You get obsessed, usually over meaningless things, and you seek for revenge, even at the expense of your own goals and your own interests. And the thing about pettiness is that we usually treat it as something trivial and daily that doesn't matter. But we should think that, because my idea is that pettiness is contagious. Pettiness contaminates people's lives, synergies, everything. And something about petty people now. I'm going to tell you as a psychologist that most of the times they have no idea they are petty. You actually ask them, why did you do that? Why did you send this passive-aggressive email? Or why did you insult this person? And most of the times they have in their minds what feels like legitimate excuses for their behavior. And this is exactly what makes them spend half their lives setting up traps and the other half falling into them. There is hidden cost in their lives, because when you're petty, it shrinks your network. Building a network is a reciprocity game. It connects you to the wrong people, so the same way smart people attract other smart people, petty people attract more petty people. And it robs you of future opportunities, because instead of being focused on building allies for your future, you build nothing or you build enemies. But now let's widen the lens a little bit. Let's see what pettiness does to structures. Let's talk about petty corporate cultures. No mentorship, no sharing of information. Usually there is gossip, there is passive aggression, there is low psychological safety, all of which affect the three things we care about in business: productivity, burnout, retention. And in the larger scale of things, let's talk about what pettiness does to societies. In Greece, for example, we have a very petty saying that roughly translates to, the neighbor's goat should die. That means that if I can have a goat, then my neighbor shouldn't either. If I can grow, if I can succeed, then no one is allowed to. Pettiness is contagious. Because what room does this leave for creativity, for collaboration, for synergy? And when we start from there, how can we build communities? Someone's pettiness is a call to action for all of us, because it signals that we all collectively have a problem. But having said that, psychologically speaking, pettiness is linked with more anxiety and less resilience. Petty people are not happy. They're not enjoying being petty. And also, people are not born petty. People are born and then they get scared. And that makes them insecure, maybe a little jealous, and that makes them petty. Because pettiness is actually one more defense mechanism to survive in environments that are very low in resources and very high in competition any way we can. The thing is that the world, as we know it, changes every single day. But one thing remains a constant. All we have is the connections that we make. And pettiness doesn't allow you to connect. Whoever sows complaints reaps loneliness. So by all means, be yourself, unless you have to change. Change the parts of you that keep you small or petty or lonely, so the rest of you can grow. And to the non-petty people, I have to say that this is something you can actually do. You can ask for feedback. You can reach out to different people who celebrate progress instead of drama. You can always engage in honest conversations. And then this way, what's important to remember is that pettiness is contagious, but so is generosity. And because we do have a lot of non-petty people here, and I see you, I want to say that the bet for you will be how not to change. When every day you show up with courage and vulnerability, and you choose love, and you choose positivity, and then you have your hearts broken, and you keep extending this olive branch just to see it break again and again. Yes, the bet will be how not to change. It's not easy, but I have an advice. We don't trust that the people are going to be nice to us and appreciate our efforts. We trust that no matter what other people will do, we will be strong enough to sustain it. And to every petty person who refuses to change and switches off your light, switch it back on again and again, as many times as you have to. It doesn't matter how tiring it gets. It doesn't matter how frustrating it gets. Because how else are we going to see? And if you're scared that that's going to end up with you being drained and empty, don't be. Pettiness is contagious, but so is generosity. And a candle loses nothing by lighting other candles. All it does is bring more light into the world. So continue being the change you want to see in this world, and trust me when I tell you that most of us are just like the sunflowers. When we have the choice, we turn towards the light. Thank you.